to talk about Easter, the Easter story and what really happened. You know, when we talk about Christmas, most of us are probably well-versed enough to realize that most of what we know about Christmas are pagan legends. And that's pretty familiar ground. But it may surprise many of us to discover that what we have been taught about Easter is also full of misconceptions. And I'm not talking about the pagan name Easter. Obviously, the original Easter comes from the worship of Ishtar, Astarte, pagan rituals about the time of the vernal equinox, the spring equinox. But we use the term throughout our culture really to refer to the Christian holidays that derive really from the Jewish Passover. And it's astonishing to discover that even within the Christian context of using, aside from the label Easter, much of what we think know or what we've been taught about Easter are misconceptions, some of them very deliberate misconceptions. So we're going to explore the Easter story. And in part one, we'll get the background, and we'll explore some of these myths and misconceptions that plague us about the Easter story. What really happened? We're going to talk a little bit about the myths and misconceptions, setting a background for our second session where we'll go into the Easter story itself, what happened that Sunday morning. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the reality. You know, one of the things that are shortcomings of Mel Gibson's famous movie, The Passion, it was in many ways quite a interesting project, has a few Catholic overtones, but all in all, a very notable piece of work. However, it has two major shortcomings. The first is that it creates the impression that the crucifixion was a tragedy, when in fact it was an achievement. The specifications were laid down before the foundation of the world. It was a climax of a mission that Jesus came on this earth to fulfill. The second shortcoming of the movie is it doesn't get across who he really is. And it failed to identify the fact that we have the Creator himself become incarnate to fulfill a mission on our behalf. Those are two critical issues that we have to confront, especially around the Easter time. But there's a second aspect of the Easter story that may surprise you, and that is a deliberate separation by the church from the biblical text. And there is a strange word called the quattrodecimans, and we want to understand what quattrodeciman is. The term comes from the Latin. It means 14ism, and it's a term that was applied